So this week we decided to take on a little challenge and talk to one of our friends over at ExploreTayo. Matt and Avik, they are also traveling nomads just like us. They just finished their second year just like us, and they spent about the same money just like us. So we thought it might be a fun time this year, on this video, to talk a little bit about how we did the same thing, but it was a very different experience. So you guys can see that there's not just one way to do nomad life.
Hi there, we're Chris and Steve from Eat, Walk, Learn. We're an early retired couple who left our corporate America jobs in May of 2021. We sold everything, including our home in Denver, Colorado, and all the things in it, plus our cars, just so that we could travel the world full time. Everything that was left we put into our 2 carry-on suitcases so we can travel lightly around the world. Would you please take a moment to subscribe and like? We share our tips from our nomad life, take repositioned cruises to get from continent to continent, and we enjoy gorgeous hikes in beautiful places around the world. We also try to eat vegan as often as we can. We hope you'll enjoy reading one of our latest books, including 50 Hikes in 50 States, or our bestseller, 2 Carry-Ons and a Plan. You can pick them up on Amazon next time you're there. Please follow us on social so you can join us every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for sharing our adventure with us.
What do you think, Matt? How are you today?
Oh, doing great. And, not only did we do things differently, but we're on the other side of the world from you right now. So
that's true. You are in?
We're in the Philippines.
Right, and we're in Denver. So with the aid of wonderful technology, we are having a little chat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, first of all, about your channel. We love it, Matt, because you are so technical and so accurate about history and locations and geography. We always learn something when we watch one of your episodes.
Well, good. That's what I love to hear. That's why I do it. So first of all, my mom was a history teacher, and my parents have traveled for years, but they've actually hit 60 countries. So we're still behind them. We're not even yet to 50.
Yeah, so, well, you're at the rate you're traveling, you're going to get there.
Yeah, we want to. That's for sure. But they're getting on in years, and their international days are over. So, my mom loves maps. She loves history, and I inherited that from her. And so this channel is primarily for them, but we try to dig into the culture of where we are and the history and how they relate. And one of the things we found is as we go from country to country, like we went around Europe, there's just so many commonalities. And then we come over to Asia and the whole spice trade and the era of colonization, and it's just all connected. Globalization is not a new thing.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And it's really amazing. I just love, learning as we travel about, what do you mean the Portuguese were here? It's like you learn something everywhere we go, and just love your videos because, like Chris said, you always teach me something, and I appreciate that. And that's part of, we're Eat, Walk, Learn, and just there's a learn in Eat, Walk, Learn, and we learn something every day.
So do us a favor, everybody, subscribe both to Matt's channel and our channel, and give us all a like so that you'll love this collaboration.
Yeah. So and we learn from your channel too, just different ways. So
thanks. That's awesome. So what we're going to do today is Matt, how much did you guys spend last year on your budget?
So our target budget was $48,000, and we missed it by a little bit, by about $1,000. So 49 total.
As was ours. Ours was $48,000 as well, and we missed it just a little bit less than you did, 48,661. I'll put links up to our video and to Matt's video where we talk about our second year budgets, so you guys can go take a look at that. But what's interesting is what was your geography like in general last year, Matt?
So our first year was primarily in Europe, and so we started off in Europe, finished out 4 months there, and then flew to Thailand. And since then, we've been in Asia. Started in Southeast Asia, did North Asia with Korea and Japan to finish our year, and we're back in the Philippines.
So you did, so in your second year of travel, you did 4 months in Europe and 8 months in Southeast Asia.
8
More or
months
less.
in
So-
Asia, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And so we did, what about 6 months in
That's
Europe and about
Yeah,
6 months in
about 5
Southeast
months,
Asia.
right.
Okay.
And what's really funny is we, except in our Southeast Asia portion of our trip, same as you, Matt, we have very similar itineraries where we didn't do Korea, we did Taiwan instead of Korea like you, but we did Japan, we ended up in Japan as well. And I can't believe we didn't actually meet each other in a bar someplace because we just barely missed each other.
In Malaysia, Thailand,
You know,
Greece. We did some similar things, but you did. We were at different places at different times, but it's just interesting
we did
how we
overlap
did kind
in
of
fall
crisscross.
and war briefly, so
yeah, that's true. That's true.
which was cool.
Yeah. So why don't I thought it'd be interesting for everybody watching us to talk about 3 categories and how they were same or differ, because those are really the biggest categories that we all track. So we're going to talk a little bit about housing, food, and transit. So last year, I was looking at your numbers, Matt. Last year, I think your housing was 14,894. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, just under 15,000.
And ours was just under 14,000. So ours was 13,753. So we're about $1,000 difference or so in housing. Tell us about your housing strategy, where you stay, what kind of accommodations you look at.
Yeah. So for the most part, we go for apartments, Airbnb, but also booking.com and Agoda, especially in Asia, have a lot of apartments. So actually we're staying here in Manila, Metro Manila, for a month on an Agoda apartment. So, we like to stay 2 to 4 weeks, and, an apartment works out well with a kitchen so that we can shop. It's hard to shop if you're a week or less. You just can't, use enough ingredients to make it worth it. But yeah, we try to find areas that are close to a market, close to some kind of transit network, not inside the core, but just outside, a little more of a residential, local type neighborhood as opposed to a pure tourist spot. But we did do, a lot of hotels this year. We did some shorter stays, especially in Vietnam and Korea. So did some hotel nights there too.
And do you guys do any pet sitting or house sitting or any alternative housing of any kind?
No, we've looked into that. We've stayed with friends and family on times, like you have too. But yeah, the pet sitting, actually, we didn't even really know about that until we started, getting into groups like we're members of. But we haven't dipped our toes in that yet. But we'll see.
So of the 365 days of housing last year, how many? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. How many do you think were paid? Some sort of paid number for you?
Paid number were basically 330.
Okay, so you had a month with friends and family, and the rest was you're paying somewhere. So I think what's a little bit different in how we do our housing is last year, like you, we did hotels and Airbnbs, but and so we did 132 days of Airbnb and 108 of hotels, but 39 days were on a cruise. We'll talk a little bit about our cruising in just a second. And 36 days were friends and family, and 50 nights were actually house sitting. We think the value of that house sitting is probably, an Asia value on that would be $2,500, but a European value on that would be about $5,000. So, with a $50 budget in Asia and a $100 budget in Europe. So, and most of that house sitting was in Europe, pretty much. Yeah. So we don't do you do any travel hacking at all? Do you do points in travel hacking?
A little bit. We just got a new travel card this year. So we use that for Hyatt points. So we're actually, we're going to hop over to Hong Kong from the Philippines for about a week and use points there.
But it's not a big part of your strategy though.
Not a big part. The biggest that we do is that because of my work, I got 1 million miles on United, so we got lifetime status with them. So we try to do Star Alliance as much as we can.
Yeah, well, so
Because
then let's jump into transit
Well,
since you
I
just
wanna-
brought transit up. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I wanted to ask another question about Airbnbs. Do you tend to stay in a place for longer than 28 days? Are you taking advantage of some of the discounts with Airbnb?
yeah, we really try to get that 28-day stay with Airbnb. Although what we found with Booking and Agoda is that their loyalty programs, give you either cash back, deep discounts, or credit against future stays. So that's working out really well for us too. And you're not stuck to that 28-day threshold.
Yeah, I think we are finding that we're moving more towards Booking.com than Airbnb as well, because of Booking's cancellation policies are a little bit better, and getting up into that Genius level 3 really starts to pay off on a nightly rate. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And also we find their review systems a lot more helpful.
Yeah, agreed.
Airbnb just is a single score, and there's so many things, especially when you stay a long time, there's so many things that could be great, but if one of it is off, it'll kind of dent your whole experience.
I think we could do a whole video on Airbnbs, could we not?
Yes, we sure could.
Yeah. Well, since we talked about transit, you jumped into transit. So let's see, last year you broke out your transit to air was $59.96 and land and sea was $45.36. And I think I added that up to about $10,500 or so. And our transit was $9,352. Now, I think Steve wants to tell you a little bit about how we accommodate or account for transit.
Well, I wanted to ask about you took that one river cruise. How many days was that?
That was an 8-day cruise.
Okay, so an 8-day cruise. So that's compares to us on cruises. What did we have, like 30 something days?
Yes, 39 cruise days. Yeah.
So on accounting wise, how did you account for that cruise? Does that all go into your housing budget?
No, I split it, housing, transit, and food.
So, okay,
that's what
because we do the same thing. So a cruise again for us is 36 days on a cruise, and if you look at a total cruise price, it's pretty significant. But one of our most recent one was a Pacific cruise across the Pacific, and if you were to pay for that flight versus a cruise, it would have been a lot more money. So I think where we differed in transportation is we certainly had much more money on the land and sea and less money in the air, but probably accomplished. We pretty much did the same thing, although we circumvented the globe.
Circumnavigated.
Circumvented
around the globe.
Completely
you just
we don't need to do this globe thing. Thank you. And you're not quite there because you're in the Philippines.
Right. So I think our longest flight last year was from Jeddah to Kuala Lumpur, which was 9 hours. But everything else was like a little hour AirAsia flight or whatever. And any continent to continent travel was by cruise. But you were completely different.
Yeah. So we had a couple long legs. Our end up in Europe, we had to leave the Schengen zone, so we flew to Romania from Belgium, which was a 2-leg, but you're all the way across the continent. Right. And then we flew back to France for our son's graduation, and then after that we flew direct from Paris to Bangkok, which was a really long leg.
Yeah.
And then within Asia, there's so many islands, and we took a couple ferries, but most of the time we island hopped on flights.
So are you like what we're doing is we're like Ryanair kinds of stuff around Europe, and then AirAsia, around Southeast Asia. Were you also looking for that budget airlines?
Well, unlike you, we check in luggage. So
so that's going to be a definite expense.
It really limits the budget carriers, because once you add luggage, their price is a lot more comparable to the main carriers.
Mm-hmm. We there was a couple of times we had to pay for checked luggage because we kind of got caught a little bit because our luggage is the right size for carry-on, but it was a little bit overweight for a couple of carriers.
The weight allowance here is a different that's a different thing.
Yeah. So yeah, carry on. We talk about looking light and looking heavy. So when we travel, we try to look light with our luggage, so that the flight attendants and things will be like, oh, they're underweight.
Yeah.
They don't weigh us.
We're those people skipping through the aisle.
Right.
You know? That's us. They're
Yeah.
looking light.
Well, there's that video going around of the woman in on an Air Asia flight, like putting on multiple layers
Right.
of
Oh yeah.
clothes to
Right.
lighten her carry-on.
Yeah, 13 pounds of clothes, so she gets her bag down to 7K or something like that. Yeah. Well, let's talk about groceries and eating out. So we both separate out those budgets. You had an eating out budget of $82.26. Ours was a little higher at $91.77. But on groceries, yours was $44.50 and ours was $19.27. Did we have those numbers right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think so we were about $1,000 more than you on eating out, but we were about $222 or $300 less than you on groceries. I think that's really interesting. Yeah. So let's see, we had 108 hotel nights, which means we were eating out, right?
Right.
Yeah, and also a lot of the hotel nights, we look for free breakfast to be included with the hotel, and then also again with all of our cruises, we allocated food as part of our cruise costs,
Right.
to our,
Which went to
we
the
were eating out, but we weren't eating
Right.
out.
Right. But we allocated our cruise food to the dining out category as well. So
Yeah. Now on groceries, you're quite the connoisseur. I often see your little shorts and things that you post, and you're trying all types of food. You're quite the omnivore.
yeah, we really that's one of the things we love about different countries is sampling the local food as much as we can. So
do you think your grocery bill, do you know how, you had 330 hotel nights or Airbnb combo nights.
Yeah, a lot of it was just we stayed in more apartments.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We would have had a much higher grocery bill if we had stayed in Airbnbs more.
Or house sits
and also
too, right?
House sits. We were in house sits a lot less than our first year.
Mm-hmm.
And you're typically, it's just by nature, you're going to go to the grocery store more. You're going to cook more at home. I really, I think we took advantage of Southeast Asia about the affordability of eating out and restaurants everywhere and delicious food everywhere. And it's just seemed like it was easier and almost cheaper maybe to eat out than it was to cook at home.
Yeah, it definitely, that part of the world, it's cheaper to eat out most of the time.
And we also, or at least I'm sorry,
our
Matt.
groceries were mainly in Japan and Europe.
Yeah.
Southeast Asia, we eat out a lot more too.
Yeah,
although
and
Philippines, we do shop groceries. So.
And we do eat a vegan diet, and I imagine a vegan diet is probably a little bit cheaper too, because we're not paying for meats and fishes and porks and things. So that might account for some of the smaller budget as well.
Yep, part of it. Although strangely, especially this year, vegetables in some countries went through the roof.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Yeah, but they're still cheaper in Asia. At least it's a 25-cent tomato rather than $1 tomato. So
yeah, I don't know. Strawberries in Japan for $18 for one strawberry.
Right. Yes, but they're beautiful, perfect strawberries, though.
Yeah, exactly.
They're worth it.
Yes, blemishless. But how do you say it? Lacking blemishes?
Well, if you circumvent the fruit,
right. They have no blemishes. So I think it's interesting how we spent the same amount. We're basically the same geography. We basically did the same things. Do you have a particular experience or something that was off the charts that you felt like you spent a lot of money on or was really worth doing that you want to share, that maybe it was a budget buster, but you still did it anyway?
Well, I mean, the river cruise was one for sure.
Yeah.
Going to Switzerland was, serious dent in our budget, but we just had to do it. It's such a gorgeous country, and we've been wanting to go there forever. And
I was in Switzerland 4 or 5. It was 2014, I think, as I was in Switzerland, and I took my daughter. We were staying. I'm sorry, I've got a hair on my face or something. I was backpacking through Europe with my 14-year-old,
too.
and we went to Switzerland. Can I borrow one of yours, Matt?
Yeah.
And we stayed at an Airbnb or a hostel actually, and went to the grocery store to get some food. You know, trying to reduce cost to get some food. We went to the grocery store, and a bag of pasta was like $14 for a half a pound of macaroni. I thought, this is crazy.
Yeah. Switzerland is budget
anyway,
buster.
But Vietnam, on the other hand, we had, you know, a vegan banh mi sandwich, and it was 60 cents. So there you go.
Yes.
Well, Matt,
and that's something that we both do, is that we try to geographically balance out the budget, right?
Yeah, your chart where you show your Europe expenses high and your Asia expenses low, we had almost the duplicate chart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, right? We really had different experiences, but I like that I don't feel like we're necessarily trying to pinch pennies. Like I like the word frugal. I like to get a deal on things, but we're still having amazing experiences and doing some incredible things as we're traveling the world. It's not like we're sitting at home, you know, waiting for something to happen. This is a really rich life. And it's good because people ask us, they're like, how could you possibly do that on $48,000 a year? Well, here's a good example. It's not just us, right?
Yeah, right.
There's
it's for sure.
It's something that's certainly possible and doable.
Oh yeah, and you know, as you're probably finding out back in Denver, you know, things are not very cheap there either. So,
yeah, we went out to lunch today, and it was $35 for 2 sandwiches, which is just shocking.
Ouch.
Yeah, shocking. But so your travels this year, you're going to be in the Philippines for a little bit longer. And what is your general geography for next year?
So after the Philippines and, you know, a couple other pops around the region, we're going back to the U.S. for the first time in 2.5 years, see my parents, see some other family, take care of some administrative stuff that's been sitting. And then we're going to head south, Latin America. So Mexico, Central America, South America.
And do you have a $48,000 budget for next year too?
We decided to give in to inflation pressures and bump it by 3%, but it's, you know, same basic budget.
So we are leaving North America, and we're heading to Australia and New Zealand for the first half of our year next year. We're going to end up back in the U.S. next summer. We're not quite sure what happens in the spring, whether that's a little Southeast Asia hop or more time in Australia. Not quite sure yet. Still trying to work out those details. We gave ourselves a raise too. To what's our
I think 53,000.
52.
52,000.
Okay, you bumped it up a bit more than us. So.
Yeah, so we will. We got the big expensive countries coming up, so we'll see how it goes.
Are you going to house sit in Australia, New Zealand? Or?
We do. We got house sits lined up, so that's going to help out with that accommodation budget for sure.
Yeah,
but we're cruising there, so.
Yeah, we're taking, you know, cruises. We'll have a lot of nights on a boat for the next year, and so that adds up. And also, you know, we're going to be in some really cool countries in the part of the world that I've wanted to go to for a long time. And
I can't imagine scubaing the Great Barrier Reef will be cheap.
We're going to do it.
That'll be a splurge. That'll be a splurge.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do some scuba diving here in the Philippines too.
Yeah.
So.
Great. Well, Matt, we really appreciate you spending the evening, or our evening, your morning with us. Hopefully we will cross paths maybe in North America next year, or maybe we'll all end up in Peru. Who knows? But anyway, watch us here on our channels. Yeah, watch us here on our channels, and maybe next year we'll do the same thing and see if we both stayed in our budgets for the year.
That would be fun.
All right.
This was cool.
All right. Bon voyage, Matt. Thanks so much for your time tonight.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
And bye.